Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to the Insight channel. In this episode of Insight, we're going to look at how to beat frustration so you can get the growth, advance, and progress that we all want. Stay tuned. This is actually part 2 of a series, so you can click the links in the description below to check out the other videos in this series. In part 1, we looked at my first tip for battling frustration, and that was be prepared. Get organized, do your research, etc., etc. Again, you can check out that video in the description below. That was tip number 1. Now on to tip number 2. And tip number 2 is simple. We have to finish. We got to be finishers. It is so important that you persevere through your current situation despite all the challenges, despite all of the overwhelming frustration, and just finish that project that you started. Now I know that there are some times in life where you just got to abort a mission. That is true, but that is not the majority of the time. And hopefully, by God's grace, you will have the wisdom to know when those times are. But for the most part, we have to learn to be finishers. And here's why I'm saying this. Losing at the frustration stage is where you take the biggest losses. The worst place to lose is at the end. You have made the greatest investments, you have done so much, and you have learned so much, but all of this progress and all of the knowledge and wisdom that you gain through the problem-solving process, you don't have the full benefit of any of that until you cross the finish line. Building a house is a perfect example. When we're building a house, it takes so much money up front. You have to spend money to test the ground, you gotta spend money to build your foundation, then you gotta spend money to build the blocks going up, then you gotta cast the floor, then you gotta spend money building blocks going up again, then you gotta cast the beams. So much money. Now, if you have not been able to get to the stage where you can put in your windows and your doors and your roof, you virtually have a massive amount of money spent, but you can't really do anything with the structure. You can't store anything in there, you can't live in there, you can't rent it, you can't do anything, right? So it's like you put out so much money, so much effort, but it's not of any value or it's not of any use until it's finished. So we've got to finish. Frustration only lives when we don't finish. If you win, poof, you're no longer frustrated. You might be exhausted from the battle, but ultimately, you will feel that sense of relief and you will be happy. It's that simple. If you win, you're happy. If you stick with it and get what you wanted, you're going to be satisfied. You will feel good. So we've got to persevere, see it through to the end, and win. Remember, frustration lives towards the end of the success cycle, just before you win. Ultimately, the reason we get frustrated is because we didn't win. The problem we had is still there. We are still dissatisfied. We're at the same level as before. We have not upgraded. And we feel defeated. And we will feel bad for as long as our expectation is not fulfilled. We will be sad inside until we win. And the worst thing about it is that frustration can be like unpaid bills. It can slowly and quietly accumulate. That feeling of defeat can quietly sit there buried in your subconscious, and when you attempt something else, it will remind you of your last defeat. And you may not approach the next venture with the due energy and enthusiasm that you should. And God forbid, if you fail to persevere through that new project and you're defeated again, that defeat will sit there in your subconscious again. And all of a sudden, your self-view is being changed and you're thinking of yourself as a failure. And that is where the real deep-set frustration can start to eat away at you, and you can possibly start to become bitter and envious of others and start to develop a very negative outlook on life. And it goes downhill from there. So we simply must win. It's that simple. If you want to beat frustration, you must persevere through it until you win. Okay guys, that's it for today's episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. Like I said before, I have a few more tips for you guys, but I'm gonna share those in separate videos so the videos won't get too long. If you like this video, please share it with your friends and give it a thumbs up to encourage YouTube to share it as well. If you want to stay connected, you can visit me at insight.joelbrooksonline.com. And you can also subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to click the notification bell. And you can also find me on social media, Facebook at Joel Brooks Online and Instagram at Joel Brooks Online. And guys, please don't be shy. If you have any questions or if you want to share your perspective, drop a note in the comment section below. It's always great to hear from you guys. So that's it guys, blessings from the Insight channel, and see you next time. God bless.